And cybersecurity is something that's important for everyone, but I would say especially for our customers. All of our customers, or most of our customers, are going to be either public safety or critical infrastructure of some kind, right? Or large enterprise that, they really value that. And frankly, it's the large enterprise customers who are the ones who are really, leading us as Avtec down like, hey, we need to be protected for all of this stuff.
Welcome back to another edition of Push to Talk. My name is Eric Smith. We're sponsored by Beck Tech. Kurt Johnson, what's going on, buddy? Avtec.
Yeah, glad to be here. Thanks, Eric.
Avtec Solutions, part of Motorola's ecosystem. Kurt came down from Chicago today, and I really appreciate you coming here and discussing, one of the integral parts, and I feel is a critical piece of the Solving for Safer ecosystem is the Avtec Scout consoles that we typically take for granted, I think, sometimes when we are providing solutions to our customers. But it's a very, very critical part of our customers' needs. And oftentimes it's the software and the electronics running in the background, either at a dispatch center or security operations center. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit today, and Kurt's going to give us all the knowledge and all the great tips on the ecosystem with Avtec. So, Kurt, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you've been around Motorola for about 20 plus years, 21 years now.
Yep.
And I know you've kind of worked your way up, and since I've been around at Beck Tech for 12 plus years, I know you've been an integral part of teaching about the ecosystem and really being that specialist, and helping myself, Britt, and all of our sales team and our technicians out. So give us a little bit of background about yourself, and we'll talk Avtec after that.
Okay, sure. So I started 21 years ago with Motorola. Started in tech support, so supporting subscribers. So I did that, and even before that. Legacy Motorola. So I did Motorola summer camp when I was in middle school. So I did 2 years of that in Schaumburg at the Galvin Center. Moving on from tech support, I joined the ACES engineering team. So I was there for 7 years. I was there as an engineer, and then I managed them for a few years. From there, I moved on as a CSE. So I was kind of a CSE all throughout the Central Territory of the United States. And then I moved on to the ESS team. So on that team, I was more of a trainer. So I did Mode Turbo Top Gun.
I remember those classes. Yeah. Those are great. We want Motorola to bring those back, by the way.
Yeah.
We need to have those.
I totally agree. I love doing those. I was doing between 15 and 18 a year. Yeah. And they were great.
Are you a Maverick or Goose?
I was definitely Maverick.
Iceman. I feel like you're an Iceman.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, so I do that. I did DSR new hire. We just did all types of training. At the time we did the Nitro Top Gun, right? So we did a lot of different trains, and then from there I moved over to Avtec. So I've been with Avtec for almost 4 years. It'll be 4 years in August. So I've been with the team, and the move to Avtec was unique for me because it was like moving to a different company, right? Like Avtec was a company that had a relationship with Motorola that was started, I believe, in 2010 when Connect Plus came out.
Yep.
And then, so they were always there.
Right.
And then Motorola bought Avtec in 2019. But even with that, they had their own facility, they had their own shipping people, their own tech support folks, who are great, by the way.
They are.
And they just had their own teams. And so moving over there, I've had a lot less interaction with Motorola people who I've known for a long time, and a lot more kind of joining this, Avtec team, which has been refreshing, right? It's something that's new, and it's been really great.
Yeah. So you've Motorola's come a long way in the last 21 years since you've been there. Mm-hmm. You've been part of that legacy side, and you've gone through the engineering, and you've you've been trained to trainer, type of deal at our training sessions. What do you think of the last 5 to 6 years for Motorola and how they've invested and acquired all these companies? What's your thoughts on all that?
Yeah, I mean, it's been really cool. So, when we split off from mobile devices and the network folks and semiconductor, all that stuff, right? It was very different businesses when we had all those different folks. And now that it's just, really more the land mobile radio side, right? Coming out of that, and then just bringing in, complementary technologies and businesses to be part of us, and being able to tie all that together into one overall solution has been really great. So it's like, hey, we go in, we have meetings with our customers, and they're like, hey, we love the radios. There's a great solution. Can you do anything else for us?
Right.
And back then it was like, not really. But now the answer is absolutely. We can do, the video, we can do dispatch, we can do all these different things. And really, I think for us, we can help our customers better.
Yeah, and I think being on the Avtec team, I feel, as I just mentioned earlier, it's an extremely critical piece when we try to when we're trying to connect people together, right, and have quicker response times, and have that. We talk about having a proactive approach, and we talk about safety and security, which is really big these days. Is a layered approach, right? And it's not just the two-way radio anymore. It's not that legacy radio.
Yep.
It's everything. It's like you said, cameras, doors. It's to maybe weapons detection systems. But when an event happens, right? How are you effectively communicating and tying all these different entities together from a voice perspective? And that's where you guys come in, right? You guys can tie in public safety, radios or voice communication with their commercial system. Is that correct?
Yep. Oh, absolutely. And that's really kind of where Avtec, can really solve problems for our customers, is when the customer has different types of communications. So lots of folks will have two-way radios, but not all two-way radios are on the same network.
Right.
You have people who might be on Mode Turbo or DMR network. There might be folks still using analog. A lot of fire people, right, still do analog and EMS. And then you have folks who might be on P25. So here in Illinois, that would be Starcom 21.
Yep.
And so you have people on these different networks. And how can folks on these different radio networks talk together? And that's where a console really comes in and can help solve that problem. So we can do that by patching people together, doing multi-selects, coordinating all the voice through the dispatcher, that sort of thing. And that's just not only the two-way radio side. Then we also have telephony. So that's something Avtec does a lot of. So we can interface with SIP telephony systems, and even some cloud-based systems now. We see a lot more of those.
So like their desk phones, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yep. And now that dispatcher can take the radio calls, but they can also take phone calls as well.
Right. And you can patch all that together. And what's nice is you're not only an enterprise-based solution, right? But you can also be a mid to low tier solution for maybe a school district or a hospital that just needs to have some basic patching together, right? Is that correct? Because you guys can scale from big dispatch centers down to small ones.
Yeah, right? Absolutely. So from the size of our systems would go down to one console, two consoles, three consoles, and that's a lot of what I do. Is some smaller dispatch centers, but we can also scale up because as Avtec goes with all of our customers, we have folks that have hundreds, if not thousands, of consoles with the airlines, railroads, some of those type of customers. For me here in Illinois and in the central Midwest, the most I have, I think I have a customer that has 40 consoles, but that's a larger public safety dispatch center. Again, most of mine are going to be probably 4 or less, but again, we can scale. We have a lot of healthcare consolidation, and so they're building out SOCs and they're putting in 8, 10 consoles, things like that. So yeah, we have systems all different sizes, and we scale very well. We start with a few, and we can always build up. We can start large, literally whatever you need.
Yeah, and me and Kurt have worked together on multiple projects, and with a couple manufacturers. One is in here. One is in Decatur. One is north of Decatur, a big electric truck manufacturer, and we designed that and put that in right. And I think it goes to show, your system is very customizable. And I know that we did a lot of different color schemes with them, and you have tabs that have on your computer screen that have the radio side, and then you have the phone side. And I know they tied into it was like an Amazon cloud service. And what's nice is about that solution is they not only had a plant in Illinois, but they also had plants in California, Michigan, and across the United States, right? And we're able to tie other dispatch consoles in from Avtec or other radio systems in from a capacity max standpoint, or maybe it's link capacity plus from a networking perspective. And you guys you could have one global SOC, right? Security Operations Center, right from California or Illinois, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a lot of customers. I used the example before of healthcare systems, but manufacturing is the same way, where they have a lot of enterprise customers are putting in these global SOCs.
Yep.
But it's just not one. A lot of times they'll have one main SOC, and then there'll be a backup, or they'll do two SOCs so they can back each other up. And these are often in different locations. And since it's all IP, it doesn't really matter where it is.
Right.
We can have a SOC here in Illinois. You can have another one in India. It really doesn't matter. It's just however it works for the customer's business and where they have operations, we can accommodate it.
That's awesome. Let's talk a little bit about your support, because you guys offer really a 911 base, support package for our customers called Scout Care.
Yep.
Will you talk a little bit about Scout Care? We know we could do 24/7, 365. Talk about what that typically includes and response times, because I know we've been on site on a Saturday, and we've had to call you guys up and say, hey, can you fix this or fix that, right?
Yep.
And you guys are very, very great. You're based out of South Carolina, correct?
Yep, that's correct.
And so you guys are still locally to United States.
Yep.
And we're not outsourcing anything. We talk a little bit about Scout Care and
Sure.
in the packages you guys offer.
Yeah, so with Scout Care, there's multiple pieces of Scout Care, right? So one piece is the technical support, and I think that's what you're referring to there. So with our technical support, we provide level 2, level 3 support. Level 1 typically is going to be the partner involved, like Beck Tech. So that you would go out, and if you run issues you can't solve, you reach out to our guys. And again, we have people, like you said, 24/7 available to help, and they do a great job. I work with them right from time to time, and they do great. They take ownership, they take it, and they do great. Other pieces of Scout Care, since Scout is software, is firmware updates or software updates, bug fixes, new features, that sort of thing. We do 3 major releases a year, and those typically have between 3 and 5 new features in them. Some of these are for specific customers. Some of these are widely available to everyone. Just kind of depends. So there's always new features coming out. And then another big part of that is compatibility testing. Because we touch so many different systems, Motorola, non-Motorola, but also things like staying current with certain PCs, right?
Yep.
Windows versions, server versions, things like that. It's important to stay with the Scout Care so we can keep everything running smoothly, upgrading as necessary to keep everything working optimally together.
Yeah. So not only is it hardware, it's software, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people out there think of it as your cell phones, right?
Yeah.
You get automatic updates and the bug fixes. And I think that's extremely important when we talk about, cybersecurity.
100%.
Right. We have, all these systems that are networked together on an IP, on an IP scheme now. And if you don't have someone that is there to protect the vulnerabilities of your system, and you're not updating your software, once a month or whenever the releases come out, you could be putting yourself in your employees or your business in a bad situation. And that's part of that too, right? Is you guys are fixing vulnerabilities. You guys are constantly pen testing and trying to fix those things, correct, with Scout Care.
100%. And cybersecurity is something that's important for everyone, but I would say especially for our customers. All of our customers, or most of our customers, are going to be either public safety or critical infrastructure of some kind, right? Or large enterprise that, they really value that. And frankly, it's the large enterprise customers who are the ones who are really, leading us as Avtec down like, hey, we need to be protected for all of this stuff. And me and you went through it, right? When we were working with one of your customers, we had to go through all these different compliances and checks, exactly. So like, it's something that happen, that comes up a lot, and it's something that I think we really shine at. So I welcome people to ask those questions.
Yeah, and what I also like is that we can take your Scout Care now and bundle it into Moto Turbo Cares.
That's right. Yeah.
And we've been really successful with a big manufacturer here in town, where we kind of bundled everything together. We pulled your Scout Care in. We pulled the GW3.
Right.
We pulled in, the radio system infrastructure, that software hardware package, and now we have a complete, software hardware solutions package, under Motorola, under Moto Turbo Cares.
Yeah, and I think it's a really great program that they offer because it's predictable cost. Right. People want to know, like, hey, what am I budgeting for? I don't want to have these things that come up that I haven't budgeted for, and then it's like, oh, what
trying to get 5 different POs. That's
Exactly.
what we talked about, is we'd had to go back to the well every single time and get a PO for each different thing, and now it's all bundled together and they have an annual cost.
Yep. I would like to mention 2 other things, options with the Scout Care as well. We do offer a Scout Care Plus, which is, we have a server on site, and then we can push updates to that, and it just makes it a little easier for everyone instead of having to have someone go on site to do it. So we do offer that piece. And then we do have a service too called Avtec Protect, where we would come on site and we can go through all, the registry, do all the STIGs, to match up with all the government recommendations for cybersecurity.
That's awesome.
So those are things that we also offer as well.
Is that how new is that?
It's fairly new. Like we can't roll that out. I think it's been probably less than a year.
That's awesome.
Yep.
And I think that's big for public safety, 911 centers, and in your large enterprise or critical infrastructure.
Yep.
You gotta be doing that on a daily basis, because they're out there to get us every single day.
Yeah.
Last thing here, I had some ladies in yesterday, and we talked about one of the ladies in particular. We talked cloud phone systems.
Okay.
And the way that we're kind of transitioning out of the hardware phase in technology, right?
Yeah.
There's always going to be hardened devices, but when it comes to our PCs, our laptops, and everything else, we're starting to see that shift, even on the phone side, that it's going to be more soft phone based, right? Can you tell me where Avtec is kind of headed in the future when it comes to either virtualizing software or housing your software on PCs and having some of that equipment? Where are you guys heading down the road here?
Yeah. So, we support virtualization today. So at the end of the day, Scout is software.
Yep.
So I can provide hardware for you, and lots of public safety folks, especially, like a turnkey solution.
Yep.
No problem. But a lot of our enterprise people, they're like, hey, we would like to have more control over the hardware that's being used. No problem, right? It really just comes down to, who's going to support it, right? And if the customer wants to provide it, then we would look for them to support it. But we can provide specs, and the customer can provide their own hardware. Or if they want to virtualize, that's something we can do as well. Today we do support VMware. I think there's been some other virtualization softwares that have been used as well, but that's something that we're seeing more and more of.
Yeah, and that's, with our larger clients, I think they like that because they could virtualize a server and have an actual backup server as well too, and they don't have to buy, semi-expensive hardware, right, to put that in. It could all be housed in a cloud setting, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not cloud today, right? It would be virtual.
Yeah.
It's a virtual server.
Are you guys moving cloud or soon or getting there?
Yeah, I mean, there's been talk about that,
Yeah.
right? And I think in the near future, like we'll have an offering for it.
Yeah.
But we don't have that today. And I don't think there's ever going to be a point where we're only cloud because
Right.
so many of our
It's
customers
hard.
want
Yeah.
on-prem. But I think we'll have an offering here in the near future for that.
Awesome. Kurt, anything else you want to talk about with Avtec today?
Yeah, I mean,
anything we missed here?
yeah. Well, I would just say, in general, right? We're a dispatch console, and where Avtec really can solve problems for our customers out there and potential customers is when we have multiple different types of communications, right? They're coming in, and we mentioned radio, we mentioned telephony, but there's also broadband push to talk. We're seeing a lot more of that.
Yeah, the
And
LTE push to talk, the old Nextel type of stuff, right?
Exactly. So that could be, Motorola Wave. That can be AT&T, Verizon.
Yep.
That can be FirstNet Rapid Response, right?
Yep.
At the end of the day, a lot of the technologies that are out there are based off of Kodiak, another Motorola.
Yep.
But there's some others out there as well that we can interface to. But we're seeing more of that, being brought in. So having all these different communications together, and then having that one person who can take control in a critical situation or an emergency or what have you, is very, very valuable. Versus, hey, you have someone with a portable radio and they're walking around and, it's just not as easy for them to take control of the situation,
Right.
compared to someone who's static at a desk who's not moving, right? They're there. This person can see everything that's going on and really, again, take control. Avtec has been part of the equation with Motorola since 2010. So a lot of folks know us and they don't really see us as maybe this new thing, but from the Motorola side, we are right. So from 2019, and there's just going to be more and more as we move into the future, right? We had the Teldio integration for location, which that's fairly new. They're going to be able to bring in Wave at some point in this year as well. So that would be really cool. So I see a future with Avtec with Wave users, and then we have Teldio. So we have Wave, Mode Turbo users all on one map, all integrated into Avtec. And
That's awesome.
I just think that's going to be a really big help with certain customers.
So you guys are always evolving.
Exactly.
You're always changing to help our customers out, and you really are a converged piece of software, pulling in the solving for safer ecosystem and all the parts and pieces.
Yep, exactly.
Kurt, I appreciate you coming down today. Avtec Regional Manager here in Illinois, and I think other states as well too.
Yep.
He's been a big help to the Beck Tech team, and we appreciate his engineering and all the times he's been on calls with us. Kurt, thank you again.
Thanks, Eric.
We'll talk to you soon. Thanks for another episode of Push to Talk. See you soon.